All right, well, welcome everybody. I've got 12 o'clock and we are going to get started. Thanks so much for your suggestions. We have this program today because in last month I'd asked for different suggestions, and this was one of them, having difficult conversations. And I'll tell you one thing about this topic. There's a lot of skills we need in life, but one skill is above everything else. You've got to be able to address and resolve conflict. And that means difficult conversations. And particularly for supervisors out there, let me tell you right now, there are a lot of skills that supervisors need, but the litmus test as to whether or not you are going to be a good supervisor is whether or not you can have a difficult conversation with someone. And if you can't, then you can't be in supervision anymore. And as we get ready for the next year, this is something for everybody to take into account. Now, you'll see me look back and forth here, back and forth. It isn't that I've got something better or more entertaining going on over here. I'm trying to check the chat. It is always best if you speak up. So you got lots of ways to participate. You can use your little emojis at the bottom, so you can give reactions or something like this. And I love how Zoom has now put in the little floaties, so that's just kind of fun. You can see them all go. You can chat me up, and I try to stay up on the chat as best I can. But you can always open your mic and talk. It's almost like we're all together. All right, well, let's get off to the races here. First and foremost, I get a lot of questions as to what the certification code is, so we'll get that out of the way right away. So, your HRCI program ID for today is 725-827. 725-827. All right, and if you are watching this recording, yes, I have all of our programs certified through the end of the year. So if you don't get a chance to attend today or something like this, or you're watching the recording, that's perfectly fine. This code is still good. All right, now that's me. That's enough of me. All right, so just to let you know who's talking to you here, I'm Scott Warwick, and I love doing these lunch and learns. And again, today's was a suggestion. And if you have other suggestions for lunch and learns where we can all get together once a month for an hour, it's always the second Friday of each month, unless something happens and I would let you know, like, I don't know, COVID, diphtheria, or something like this, I would let you know. Now, a few things. We have a couple hundred people who sign up for these, and I'm just thrilled with that, but that doesn't mean we're going to have that many people here. These lunch and learns are always posted the next week, by the end of next week. If you go to my main website, scottwarwick.com, and you see on the top bar there, free resources, and that'll give you a drop-down menu, and it will say Scott's Lunch and Learns. Click onto that. That's where all of the previous year's lunch and learns are posted. And then for previous lunch and learns, I've got them at the bottom under different topics. So there's a bazillion different lunch and learns. Well, maybe not quite that many, but quite a few lunch and learns for you to go and sift through for you and your people. And we are launching today. It has been a heck of a year. I mean, there's changes in the standard for discrimination. The United States Supreme Court changed what we need to prove, what your employees need to prove to show that you discriminated against them. We have changes in harassment law. We clearly have changes in diversity. And I will tell you right now, that is a hotbed topic. You want to make sure that you are ensuring that your programs are all legal. And I don't know if you've seen some of the legal troubles that some of our larger HR associations are getting into, getting sued for millions of dollars. Why? Because you really shouldn't do illegal things. Okay, so I've got those on my website now. They're under Scott's Up. Yeah, tens of millions. Yes, it was, Addie. Yes, it was. And these are our so-called experts. Well, I got news for you. Our experts are not always so expert. All right. So Friday, January 23rd, 2026 is our all-day employment law update. And hang on, it is a full day. I'm already getting the final touches on it, and it's a fast field as to what doesn't get included. And then if Fridays aren't good for you, we got Wednesday, January 28th. So we've got a couple sessions. You can sign up now if you want to get it into 2025's budget, or if you want to get it into 2026 budget, you can sign up then. But I'll tell you, these are not miss types of sessions. And I'll tell you, if I don't do employment law update, what the heck happened? Every year, I can't practice law the next day or the next year. I can't do it because I got to know what's happening. And I'll tell you, you want to be there, and it will be recorded. So if you happen to miss one of those days or something like this, no problem. It'll be recorded for you, and you'll have that recording in the handout forever. All right. And I want to also, I've talked to several of you about this. Are you ready for 2026? The state of Ohio has come out with a fantastic program that will get your policies, your substance abuse, your handbook, and all these other types of things paid for. Yes, the state of Ohio has put together a phenomenal program that will pay up to $5,000 to get these types of things put in place for you for free. Okay, here's a good chance for a poll question. How many people think the price is right when it's free? Is free good? I think free is good. I think free is good. Yeah, I got a lot of people waving at me. Yep, you've got your email from me. Yep, there you go. If you're interested in 2026, getting your employees trained, getting your policies, which of course is your substance abuse, and you want to make sure all of your policies are all corresponding. Employee contracts and consulting on these types of issues or other issues, let me know. Give me a call. I'm setting up for 2026, and I've got several clients who are taking advantage of this, and I put together special programs that will get you to where you want to go. Free is a misnomer, tax funded. Yeah, thanks, Kevin. You're absolutely right. Everybody seeing this? Yeah, Joyce, this is a reimbursement program. You will be reimbursed. And I'll tell you, it's really good. I've had about 5 or 6 clients that just this month, they took advantage of it. I put together a whole package for them of services that we're going to do. They paid me what I charged them, and they were reimbursed. One of them was reimbursed within 7 business days. The other one, it took about 3 days. The other one, it took them 10 days. So I'll tell you, this is something. I've sent you emails, and I've got a lot of questions. If you want to talk about this, if you want to train your people, get your policies, contracts, get ready, not just for 2026, but on into the next year, give me a call. This is a phenomenal program, and in 40 years, soon be 43 years of being in human resources and 31 years of practicing law, I've never seen anything like this. I really haven't. And it's because a lot of things in Ohio are so far out of whack that this is actually coming from the Ohio Bureau of Workers' Compensation. Okay. It is cheaper to pay you to get your substance abuse policies up to date, to get your policies corresponded, to get everything taken care of. It's cheaper to do that than paying out the millions and tens of millions of dollars in accidents and workplace violence and whatever we have every year. Can this apply on training if you do a training? Yeah, I mean, there are so many things that all tie in together, and that's why I want to personalize this for you. And I'll tell you, my clients want all kinds of different things in their programs, and this is totally up to you. Okay, you can put whatever you want into your program. This is not something where you have to follow certain regulations or guidelines. It is to get us more effective when it comes to our substance abuse, when it comes to our policies. You got to train your people. Do these updates include public employers like municipalities? Yes, Kelly, it absolutely does. And let me clue you in. If you are a public sector employer, and I've sent this out to public sector employers who run on tax bases, okay, like you have like municipalities, you have a tax and things like this. If you're a state agency like Department of Transportation, this doesn't apply to you. And so the 2025 plan year for public sector employers, the 2025 up to $5,000 is going to end on December 31st. That's why I've sent everybody on my contact list, everybody, I got about 8,000 emails in my contact lists that we've got to get your paperwork done in 2025 if you want to take advantage of this. So public sector, like you, Kelly, you got to get your paperwork in by the end of 2025 and you can give me a call, okay? Linda's asking, is there a website for this information? Shoot me an email. Yeah, there's a website, but it is about as clear as mud. It is not easy. So you shoot me an email, Linda. I'll shoot you a complete description of how it works and what I offer under this program and all the steps you got to do to apply. The steps I've given you have hot links. It is stupid easy, because everybody's got to be able to get through it. But I'll tell you, if you're a public sector, you have $5,000 for 2025 that's going to expire here in about 2 or 3 weeks. Private sector, you get $5,000 for the plan year, which ends June 30th, and then you get another $5,000 starting July 1st. So you're always working to keep your training up to date. You're always working. Nonprofits, yeah, nonprofits. If you have a BWC number, you're qualified. So yeah, Joy, yeah, I'd sent you an email. If you want to talk, that's fine. Because nonprofits were the first ones to take advantage of my super programs. And the reason being is they don't have any money. Again, this is wonderful. And so programs like today, would fit into certain packages. So yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there because I've sent out emails and I think a lot of my emails just get deleted. But I tell you right now, when the government is going to give you 100% reimbursement within 10 days or so, man, I'm there. I am there. So all you need is a BWC number. And if you got a BWC number, you got $5,000 coming to you in services. All right, well, let's get off to the races here. Why are we here? Does anyone see a problem here? Now, here's a better question. How many people think the guy on the bottom is on drugs? Well, if that goes any further, I hope he's on drugs.
I drove here. They actually have cheaper tires.
Yeah. Craig, yeah, you got something?
So if I get some more, it's that's just going to be pricey.
Okay, there we go. All right. Now this guy is in big trouble in about another 1/4 inch. Okay. I'll tell you, we can fix this. Not addressing and resolving conflict is going to be worse than this. There are things that happen in your organization that cannot be fixed. And I will tell you, I wish I had a dime. I mean, I'd have a beach house in Malibu by now. I wish I had a dime for every time I ran into a situation where a supervisor should have been addressing a situation and they didn't do it because I'm a nice person. Oh, I don't want to upset anybody. No, why? That is why you are there. So where are we going? Trust. Are you making it safe? You absolutely, positively have to build trust. And I will tell you, that comes from addressing and resolving conflict. And we've got to think of having these difficult conversations, we got to think of this in a completely different world, a completely different way of the way we do now. And I'll tell you, your supervisors, and what do we do for supervisors, right? Don't we typically take someone who is a really, really good technician? You know, it's an engineer, it's this, it's that, it's whatever. And, oh, you're such a good carpenter, you're such a great accountant. We're going to move you into supervision. No, it is an entirely different skill set. It is an entirely different job. And every time you have interactions with your people, that trust is going to change. It's going to change. And what is trust? Is it safe? Is it safe to talk to you? And I will tell you, in most organizations, the answer is no. It is not safe. And we're going to change that. Now, let me just tell you how important it is to have these difficult conversations, and the sooner the better. You will never have a legal issue. You'll never have an employment law issue. You'll never have a workplace violence issue. You'll never have a union issue. You'll never have morale issues. What have you got? You got an unsafe environment. That's the root cause. Everything else are dandelions. If there is no trust in your organization, you're going to have all these problems right here. All of them. All these problems. So my recommendation is you can just go cut off the dandelions all you want. And it's just amazing to me. I got a call from a new client about 4 or 5 months ago. Oh my God. They had so many claims from employees. It was amazing. And they kept saying, well, as soon as we get this lawsuit out of the way, as soon as we get this harassment claim out of the way. No. The problem is it isn't safe to come to work here. And why is it not safe? Because your supervisors don't know how to address and resolve conflict. So I got a comment here from Mike. My experience is amusement parks, fast food, those types of jobs promote kids, young people who have no experience, but are good workers because of a good work ethic. And that's why they're promoted. Yeah, absolutely. Think of it this way. I've got somebody who is maybe in the military who, is a good shot. So what am I going to do? I'm going to promote that person into a combat leader. Well, you better know what you're doing. So absolutely, Mike, you might be a great worker, but does that mean you can address and resolve conflict? No. Now, let's get to a real basic question. What is conflict? I mean, we talk about conflict all the time. We talk about it like it's a disease, right? I've been infected with conflict today. What do you think? What is conflict? Now, first of all, how many people think conflict can be good? Conflict is the great and amazing catalyst for change. Yeah, thank you. There you go. You're getting a lot of thumbs up here that conflict can be good. When personal interests are incongruent to each other, that's an excellent. Okay. Mike's saying absolutely, it can be good. Not seeing things the same. Oh, Julie, you just described Congress, right? I mean, we just got off of the largest or longest shutdown in history. Conflict is great right up until it becomes ad hominem. Okay. Conflict is good. It's a disagreement. But what do we do with that conflict? Now, I'll ask you another question here. Is conflict avoidable? I get this from supervisors all the time. Oh, I don't like conflict. Okay, now think about this. Something's happening with an employee. Very, very typical situation. Something's happening with an employee. And I'm getting all kinds of good answers here. I'm getting yes, I'm getting no. Addie's telling me yes, and avoidance can be a strategic decision when done right. Okay. Iron sharpens iron. We all have blind spots. So yes, healthy conflict is good. Linda's telling me yes. Think about it. If it's just a little disagreement that doesn't matter, like you maybe just parked too close to my car, okay, all right, maybe it's just not that big a deal. You used up all the sugar and now there's nothing left for okay. But we're going to go through an example today. What if somebody starts talking about politics and religion, or they start talking about something that they feel very strongly about, and then we start using racial slurs or gender slurs? Avoiding conflict, getting from Kevin here, avoiding conflict can become toxic. We must choose our battles wisely. Now, how do you know that something's important? It's going to make your gut churn. Or you've got an employee that's very upset. Well, it's important to that employee. You got to act. You got to act. Okay. Is conflict avoidable? If it's serious conflict and you avoid it, well, that's suppression. You're ignoring a serious condition. This is like going to the doctor and the doctor is telling you that you have kidney problems and you ignore it. Oh, I feel fine right now. You're not going to feel fine later. No, this is one of the biggest problems. You hear somebody say, oh, I don't like conflict, so I'm going to avoid it. You can't avoid it if it's serious. Again, if it's nothing, any big deal, it's just a minor slight, okay, people get over it. But boy, oh boy, this is like having, like, I grew up with my grandma and grandpa on a farm. Okay, say a cow dies. I'll tell you right now, that's why they have tractors and they have chains. The first thing you do when that cow dies is you go and you dig a big hole and then you bury the cow. What is going to happen if you just let the cow lay there? I'm going to ignore it. Well, a couple months later, a few weeks later, you're going to have a big stinky cow. Okay, and here we've got another good comment here. One of the biggest problems is that we have been so trained and conditioned to debate instead of deliberate issues. That's right. I'm going in here to address and resolve the conflict. Now, I just love this. You will always have conflict. You've only got these choices. The only issue is whether you're going to suppress it, you're going to escalate it, or you're going to resolve it. Okay, I'm not so concerned about somebody using up the last of the sugar. I'm very concerned about someone grabbing somebody's butt, telling somebody that they're a witch, give or take a consonant. I'm very concerned about these battles that are brewing in all of our organizations. And we have supervisors who, I want to be nice. That's not nice. So here's what I recommend, and here's where we're going to go with this. This is the diagnostic diamond. Like many of you have seen this before. If you are ever in a conflict and something went wrong, it was one of these three bases, probably first or second base. First base is emotional intelligence. You've got to be able to control yourself. You got to be able to control your ego, and you got to be able to control your emotions. That is the hardest thing people will do. This is what screws up conflict. And you'll hear people say, well, yeah, but I just feel very strongly about this. I understand. And you're going to hear this theme from me for the rest of our time. You have a right to your beliefs. You have a right to your beliefs. You don't have a right to your behavior. You don't have a right to react like that. And that's your behavior. That's what we're going to talk about, because it's going to hurt you. Well, I feel very strongly about this. Then I'll tell you, you need to be able to deal with your emotions and ego, or this is going to cause you a lot of problems in the future. Yeah, so emotional intelligence. And today we're going to focus on no retreating or attacking. Fight or flight. Whenever a conflict comes up, our first reaction is typically wrong because we're human. We're human. Our first reaction for 80% of pretty much anybody out there is to run, is to run. All right, freeze right there. Do you see why you have so many passive aggressives? Do you see why we have so many retreaters? Okay, and then we're going to talk about the attackers as well. If you can conquer first base, which Pete Rose was not able to do. Now, let's go back to the example that Mike gave us where, oh, I got this guy, he's a great worker at this, fast food joint, doing such a great job, so I'm going to promote him. The kid was a great, great producer, a great worker on the line. Pete Rose, no one of the tens, if not hundreds of thousands of professional baseball players we've had since 1869 in this country, no one hit their way onto first base more than Pete Rose. Nobody. That is an amazing feat. But why isn't he in the Hall of Fame? Anybody have any ideas why Pete is not in the Hall of Fame?
Gambler.
Yeah, gambler. Yeah, big old scandal, betting. There you go. He's an emotional child. It cost him everything. All right, so see the example? The greatest base hitter in the history of baseball, the hit king, is not in the Hall of Fame. And it's because of a lack of emotional intelligence. If you can conquer first base, we can now go to the easy part, which is empathic listening, parroting, and rewards. And that's what we're going to hit in detail today. So let me tell you, the only time you build trust with another human being is when you are in conflict. And I love this where you say, well, we got to go around and get to know our people and everything. That's right, you do. That builds familiarity. That does not build trust. Trust. You've got to make sure that when you disagree with someone, you keep yourself under control, emotional intelligence. I use my EPR skills, and I'm going to prove to that person that it's okay to disagree with me. It's safe. We all know people for 10, 15, 20, 30, 50 years. We don't know if we really trust them because you don't know if you can disagree with them. Well, that's what we're going to focus on today in having our difficult conversations. All right, and just as a little hint, why do most relationships fail? And I mean marriage, I mean work relationships. Because we cannot handle conflict. It's that simple. This is a master skill above most anything else. All right, so let's look at no retreating and no attacking first. Now again, what is emotional intelligence? Can you control your ego? And can you control your emotions? And the answer for most people is no. No. And if you don't believe me, watch your news. All right, now, all communication theory is based on fight or flight. And I don't care what program you're looking at. We use different terms, but it's all fight or flight. Now, think about this. Let's say that the average person in the world is in a tense conflict, a serious, highly emotional conflict, and they feel like they're being attacked. How many people think most folks would rather run away from the conflict than attack? Do you think most people would rather run away? Linda's saying yes. Oh, I'm getting lots of thumbs up here. Yeah. Yep, run away. That's what we do because we're human. Now, right away, 80, maybe 85% of everybody you know would rather smile to your face, tell you everything's fine, and then gut you from ear to ear as soon as you walk away. That is the human animal. And that's the way we've been for thousands of years. Yeah, Lauren, run, Forrest, run. Yeah, Absolutely. So those are our retreaters over here to your right. And then, of course, we've got the attackers. Who knows people, I tell it like it is. Problem with you is you just can't take honesty. And I tell it and I lay it out straight. And every time they talk to somebody, they attack them. You got anybody like that running around? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Addie. Yep. 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 So I've got my poster children here. Okay. There's your attackers, Simon Cowell. And for those of you who remember the old Andy Griffith show, Aunt B. Aunt B. Oh, I love Aunt B because, oh, she's so nice, right? She cooks and bakes and takes care of Andy and Opie. No, she's a horrible harpy. She's a terrible human being because whenever there is a conflict, she goes and sits with her old bitty friend Clara and talks about everybody behind her back. Those are retreaters and attackers. Okay, let me ask you a real simple question. Do you have gossipers who work for you? Yeah, I'm gonna love the thumbs up here. Yeah, I see you on the cameras. Give me thumbs up. Thanks, Bronwyn. Yep, always, always. Well, let me ask you, do you have people? Okay. Oh yeah, I got a no from David. Yeah, I know your staff. Yeah, yeah, that's a little different situation. Oh, Swartz, yeah. You mean do we have humans? Yeah. I will tell you right now. Okay. Is it nicer to stab somebody in the back and not tell them? Or is it nicer to have an honest, respectful communication? Honest. I'm not going to lie to your face. And I'm going to be respectful. So I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to be a retreater. And I'm not going to attack you. Absolutely. We want the middle road. We want the middle road. And I'll tell you right now, your first reaction is usually wrong. Again, because when our gut tightens up and it's a tense conversation, it takes emotional intelligence to take that middle road. You've got to address the issue, but you don't want to be Simon Cowell. Now, we just talked about this a little bit, but I absolutely love this graphic. The truth of the matter is probably 75% of most of your conversations just plain old don't matter. It's not a difficult conversation. It's something minor. Okay, I need you to park a little further away. I need you to do this. It's not that big a deal. But boy, oh boy, relationships are built and destroyed by those 25% high stakes conversation. Those are what matters. So I'll tell you, we absolutely positively, if you ever want to be happy in your life, and if you ever want to have a good organization, you've got to have honest, respectful communicators. And I mean supervisors who will march in there. And something to think about. This is very, very common. And I want you to think of even some of the most extreme examples of we protect our own. Oh, we protect our own. You know, kind of like Jerry Sandusky and Penn State, where Jerry Sandusky is probably the most famous pedophile, at least in my lifetime, where he molested all these little boys. He was caught in 2011. He was caught in 2011. But you want to know something interesting? Penn State found out that Jerry Sandusky, the defensive coordinator for Penn State, was a pedophile. They found out and they settled a case for him back in 1971. Okay, freeze right there. Penn State, Joe Paterno knew that Jerry Sandusky was a pedophile molesting little boys in 1971. They covered it up. They let him keep bringing boys to the stadium. He kept his job. They didn't get him any help. They didn't do anything. So for another 40 years, he molested little boys. Okay, so let me ask you, who's responsible for all those little boys who were molested from 1971 to 2011? Who's responsible for that? What do you think? How many people think Sandusky for doing it, the school for allowing it? Thank you, Maddie. Yeah. Penn State and Jerry. There you go. The employer, his supervisor. Absolutely. You're an enabler. And how many examples do you want? You want, yeah, both of them, David, and all of them. Absolutely. Do you want American female gymnastics? Do you want Ohio State wrestling? I mean, how many examples do you want? This is what we do. It is a misguided, twisted way of looking out for people. Well, I'm going to protect them. No, bring them in and correct them. I mean, if I ever found out that one of my sons was doing something, like, the governor, Andrew Cuomo, who was molesting young female interns. Okay, freeze right there. How many people think that it should be in your policy that you should not be molesting your coworkers or your subordinates? What do you think? Is that a good policy to have? I think so. Yeah, we're getting lots of good thumbs on that one. I think that should be in there. Do you think we should train and let people know? Yeah, Mike, I love this. This is the quote of the day. You shouldn't have to. Yeah. I like this, Addie. Let's put it right next to the policy about not murdering people. You know what happened to common sense from Darlene? Why do, and again, this is why I'm beating this drum. Why do you have to train your supervisors? Why do you have to have a substance abuse policy? Oh, by the way, you all know and work with functioning alcoholics and people who abuse drugs because you live in Ohio. Okay, usually alcohol. Okay, and so guess what? You're only putting all of these things in place for the 5 or 10 percenters, right? 90%, and maybe even 95% of everyone that works for you or everyone you know would never do these terrible, terrible things. But what about the other 5 or 10 percenters? Boy, they would. No one suspected Jerry Sandusky. There's 330 million Americans in the United States. Okay, 90% of them would never molest you. They would never, do terrible things to you. They would never do these terrible things. But what about the other 10%? Well, yeah, that's 33 million people. Oh, yeah. And you got some good comments in here. Look at what just happened with the Michigan head coach and his bad decisions. Yeah. I'll tell you, who knew the guy's making millions of dollars a year as a coach? They threw it away. He threw it away. Human nature can't be trusted. Yeah, you got those 5 or 10 percenters out there. The company could be held responsible for what the supervisors do. Pam, that is right on target. That is exactly right. Because you put them in place. Policies are usually put in place because of the pain of a past experience, often money from legal issues. Remember our graphic? All of your problems, workplace violence, morale, maybe union issues, legal issues, all come from a bad environment. So I can tell you right now, if Andrew Cuomo was my brother and I heard he was molesting the young interns, I don't care how much security he's got. If that's my brother or my son, I would duct tape him to a chair and smack him with a phone book because I am going to correct him because I want to help him. All right, so let's go to EPR. Now, you see how tough the emotional intelligence is? You gotta have the guts to be a supervisor. And that means you gotta understand that you are there to help this person. And if you really want to stick it to this person, don't say anything. Don't say anything. All right, EPR. So you got these supervisors who now understand, I got to have this really tough conversation with Bob. And I'm going to sit down with Bob, and I'm going to do it because I care about Bob. I really don't even like the term verbal warning. I like coaching. I'm going to coach this person, and I'm going to try to help them. And if that doesn't work, I might coach them again. And if that doesn't work, it's going to be written warning time, and then you're fired. Because I'm going to protect the organization. So it starts with empathic listening. Now, vintage Stephen Covey. Now, here's what we usually do. I see that you got a problem. So Bob's got a problem. So what am I going to do? I'm going to sit down with Bob, and I'm going to say, okay, Bob, here's what you're doing wrong. Here's what you got to do. I want to see you improve. Well, that's all wrong. Our best of intentions are taking us right to hell. No, I'm not asking Bob his side. I'm not looking at his side. I'm just lecturing him. Very disrespectful. No, I want you to turn this all around. Empathic listening. Seek first to understand, then seek to be understood. Okay, now why do I want to do that? Why should I start with empathic listening? Well, first of all, and I want you to recognize this as your customer service training too. I get a lot of this from FedEx because it works. They burn off their adrenaline. Usually if you're going to talk to somebody, they're nervous, it's a high stakes conversation, and I'll even say, hey, just slow down, take a breath, and tell me what's happening. They burn off their adrenaline. When you are flooding your body with adrenaline and cortisol, you absolutely cannot think straight. You're flooding your brain with gasoline. So you let them vent. You let them go. Slow them down. And then you will see that they run out of adrenaline. Now you can talk to them. But burn off that adrenaline. Get them to calm. And it's, again, we got a comment from Mike about our nonverbals. Yeah. I usually talk pretty fast, but when I'm coaching someone, I slow way down, I relax, and I listen from their perspective, not my perspective. We've all got our own perspective. That's why listening is so important. And listening is respect. It is respectful. And that is, listening is a dying art. How many people have ever called customer service to try to get help? And they want to help you and answer your question before you ask it. Let me get that one. They don't care what your problem is. They don't care about, oh, well, here's what most people call about. Well, I'm not most people, and I'm calling about this issue. No. Listen. Listen to what they're saying. That's respectful. And I'll tell you right now, I learned this the hard way. Clients don't always tell you the truth. Why do you want to start off with empathic listening with something like, hey, tell me what's going on? What's happening? Talk to me. You're playing show me your cards. I want to hear where they're coming from, right? See, if you're playing cards and you know what the other person is holding, aren't you a lot better card player? Yeah. Oh, I just got real good. I could shut down Vegas in a week if I knew what the other person was holding. Absolutely. So guess what? You might learn something. You might learn something that you didn't know. Your entire perspective or perception could change. Here's a hint. Maybe you're wrong. This right here is why the EEOC says you have to start a harassment investigation as soon as practicable. You know, what's that mean? You better get started on that within the week or 2 weeks, and you better have a real good reason as to why you did not investigate within that time period. A real good reason. Okay? It's really funny. I got a client right now. They're deciding whether or not to do an investigation, and they said, well, we got to see if it's cost effective. Um, you're kidding me, right? You just got a claim of illegal activity, and you want to determine, and you actually emailed to the employee that you want to see if it's cost effective. You lose. You lose. You lose. Oh no, I'm going to investigate. And that's what empathic listening is. Tell me where you're coming from. Yeah. Let me tell you, listen, 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 because you're not learning anything if you're talking. What's the best thing you can do to start a conflict? Shut up. Shut up. Yeah. We got a great comment here. Yeah. And then you adopt a new policy. Well, I'll tell you, I want to make sure your policies. Oh, and by the way, let me just clarify here. You do not write policies to tell employees what their rights are. No, no, no. And actually, I've got posted on the Lunch and Learns. I did a Lunch and Learn a few months ago about what should be in your policies and contracts, what should be in your handbook. You do not write a handbook or policies to tell employees what their rights are. No, they've got Congress for that. And that's why you have those 6-in-1 posters you post on the wall. And if you've ever read them, it would scare the fur off of you. Okay? So I want to have this policy. I got a great example here. The policies should say every complaint must be investigated timely and thoroughly. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because you might learn something. And when you're doing your investigation, which such as when I'm sitting with Bob, it's a highly tense situation. I'm asking him his side. I'm listening from his perspective. I'm not talking. Because now I have to listen because of the parroting. The E and the P go together. EP, EP, EP. I'm going to listen, and then I'm going to parrot it back to him what I think he told me. And so I would say something like, okay, I want to make sure I got this, Bob. You're telling me that you did this and this and this, and that's why that happened. Do I understand? And if he says no, then it's like, okay, you got to tell me again. We don't move on in the conversation until he agrees that I've got it. That gives us common understanding. And let me tell you right now, my undergrad degree was actually in communication, organizational communication, and I have done a lot of mediation in my career. One of my tricks is the first thing I'm going to ask in a mediation, I'm going to turn to one side and I'm going to say, okay, I want someone over here to tell me where this side is coming from to their satisfaction. Okay, how many times do you think in 30 years of mediating, the one side has been able to successfully tell me where the other side is coming from? What do you think? How many times do you think that's happened? Never, never, never. Zero, zero, getting all the zeros and nevers. Because if they could, I wouldn't be there. We don't listen. We do what we call lawyer listening, which means I'm going to hear what you say, and then I'm going to twist it around and try to use it against you. No, I have to repeat this back to your satisfaction before we ever move on. And it's very simple. I would say something like, I want to make sure I got this. I want to make sure I understand. And you might stop them a few times going through this because maybe you're getting lots of information. I want to make sure I have repeated this back. All right. Now, oh, by the way, just in case you were wondering, this EP is the best CYA thing you will ever have. And I get accused of this by attorneys. Well, they say, well, I'm sure this was all just a miscommunication issue. And man, I shut them down. No, I do not have miscommunication issues. You might, but I don't. I repeated this back to your client. She agreed that I understood. So was she lying then or is she lying now? No, you are covered. So then, let's say that I disagree with Bob. All right, what do we often do? Well, we'll tell Bob, gee whiz, Bob, that's the dumbest thing I ever heard. Or, why did you do that? Okay, do you feel your gut tighten up? Why don't you just punch Bob in the face? You've destroyed the trust. It's not safe to talk to you. No. Now, if I agree with Bob and I say, well, Bob, you told me some stuff that I didn't know, you're right. That's great. But if I disagree, if you ever disagree with somebody, you're dealing with a human whose emotions will kick in 17 thousandths of a second. If you ever disagree with somebody in a highly emotional situation, you give them a reward. You thank them for disagreeing with you. You're not agreeing with them. You're validating their right to their opinion. So I would say, I understand why you did that, or I can see your point of view. And I would even throw in, you have a right to your beliefs. I will defend to the death your right to your beliefs. But I want to talk about your behaviors. I tell you, it's amazing. Most people in today's society actually think they've got a right to attack, to fight somebody if they're offended. No, you got a right to your beliefs. You don't have a right to your behaviors. See, right away, I can validate Bob's right to his opinions and his beliefs, but I can show him that it's safe to disagree with me and I can still address the behavior. All right, now, EPR. Let's go through a real quick example. All right, let me ask you, do you have a right to your opinion these days? Like on Trump, pro-life, gun control. Do you have a right to your opinion? Oh, I love this. Yeah, it depends. Thank you, Darlene. I'm getting lots of yeses and lots of thumbs up. Yeah, that's right. You have a right to your opinion as long as it agrees with mine. All right, now, here I've got a situation where and it's in the lunchroom. Okay, these things come from the office into the lunchroom and move all over the place. And I've got a young Mexican woman who is really upset with an older white woman. And they were in the discussions about immigration. Okay, right away, can you feel the intensity growing? Highly emotional. Oh, and I always love this. We don't talk about politics and religion. Okay, first of all, how are you going to keep that out? I mean, in today's world, how are you going to keep that out? And second, if you have so many emotional children running around and they can't talk about politics and religion, something that is probably not going to affect them that second, it'll affect them, but not that second. How could you ever sit down and talk to someone about their job? Okay, I've just told you why we have 38,000 physical assaults in American workplaces every week. That's a lot of stitches. And did you know that we're up to about 2 homicides a day? Yeah. No, you live in a dangerous world. And I'm telling you, no. So someone had mentioned, this older white woman had mentioned that, you know, these immigrants are criminals. I'm glad that they're rounding them up, and you know, I know they make mistakes, but they let them out pretty soon anyway. So it's keeping us safe. That's about all she said. That's all she said. The young Mexican woman got really upset and started just really emotionally letting loose on this woman, saying that she has had relatives, they're American citizens who've been arrested. It is a horrifying situation. And you know, you need to look to see what's really happening. And if you don't, you're just an effing witch. Okay. All right. Now, do each of them have a right to their opinion? What do you think? Well, this is still America. Yeah, you got a right to your opinion, but guess who's going to get talked to? So I get a call And this young Mexican woman, she's in her 20s, okay? And she has had this to her own family. So I sit down, and what do I have to do? Well, I need to listen to what she's saying. So I say, okay, tell me, what happened? What happened? That's all I got to say. I don't have to go into a lot of detail. I don't have to elaborate. What's going on? And I listen, and she says, well, my family has just been, harassed something terrible by this. I live in fear all the time. I could be arrested just because of the way I look. And I'm like, okay. And she goes, I'm afraid for my children. I mean, this is a very emotional situation to me. I said, okay. All right, now let me make sure I got this, because I want to make sure I'm tracking you. And I want you to notice the parroting that's going on here. You're telling me that you live this every day, that you have family members who have been detained and later released. And even though they're released later, it's a harrowing experience. And she goes, yeah. I said, and you're afraid for yourself? She said, oh my gosh, yes, I'm afraid to go outside because someone might see that I am Latino and I could get arrested. And I said, okay, all right. So your fear is for yourself and your family, and this is a daily thing for you, isn't it? And she goes, yes. I said, okay. Now the reward. I see where you're coming from. And you know what? You have a right to those fears. You have a right to those beliefs. And I'll defend to the death your right to those beliefs. But I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here to help you. We want to talk about your behavior. We got to talk about your self-control, because you can't blow up like that. I mean, I don't know if the answer is you leave when that type of discussion happens, or if, we need to get you some help, maybe send you for an assessment with our EAP. And I will tell you, I've sent a lot of people for help, and it's very, very useful. I want to help you, because if you continue like this, this is going to hurt you for the rest of your life. You need to be more mindful. And there's all kinds of ways to do that. So, okay, freeze right there. Do you think she trusts me now? I told her that she has a right to her beliefs, but not her behaviors. I showed her that it is safe. Yeah, she's starting to trust me. Yeah, she's very cautious. You don't get it in one sitting. But let me tell you, it's really interesting, because I got to be careful with this, because using this approach builds trust. Because people are looking for someone to help them. They're looking for trust. The problem I get into is they won't leave me alone. I go in and I talk to employees, and for some reason they seem to think that they could call me all the time. Well, what do? I got to retrain them to go back to their supervisor. And of course, what training do you think I'm putting the supervisors through? Okay, now freeze right there. In the last 5 or 6 months, I've had this very conversation as an intervention with people who are functioning drug addicts. And does anybody know where most people get their drugs today? And no, it's not off the street. Prescriptions. Doctors are still the biggest dealers. And alcohol. Oh my God. I've had so many interventions using my EPR skills to try to help someone who is clearly having issues at work. And what comes out when I'm talking to them about their behaviors? Drugs and alcohol. Mental issues. Oh, and by the way, you realize that mental issues are tied to drugs and alcohol because people are self-medicating, and nowhere is that more prevalent than in the legal profession. No one's immune. So what's the wrap? If you cannot address and resolve conflict in your life, game over. Game over. You're never going to be happy. And you're never going to have a good organization. And that is what we want. A good organization where people are safe coming into work. So we got to make sure your people, your supervisors understand this is the biggest part of their job. And you're doing that person a favor. You're helping that person improve. And this is how you get a good organization. Make sense? questions, comments, deep religious concerns over anything we've talked about so far? Everybody got it? Okay, well, hey, if you want to talk about the Ohio Grant Program to get it personalized for you, you just let me know and give me a call, shoot me an email. And if you have suggestions for next year's Lunch and Learns, hey, shoot those off to me, because we want to make sure that we are all, trying to do as best we can and get better. All right, well, thank you for all the thank yous out there, and thank you for coming. Everybody have a fantastic holiday season, and I hope to hear from you all soon. Take care.